The winner of this beautiful Shun Kuritsuke that was actually restored in my backyard and on my brick is Nathan Solomon, one of my Patreon supporters. Nathan, thank you so much for being a longtime supporter of my channel. This knife is going to you. I hope you enjoy it. I want to take this time to thank not only Nathan, but all of my supporters on Patreon. Without you guys supporting me financially every single month, I would not be able to do what I'm doing today. So thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. Alright, so this video has been a long time coming, and a lot of you guys have been asking me what is the differences, or what are the major differences between the Kramer knives, the Damascus versus the carbon versus the stainless steel. The results I think will surprise many of you, but we'll get there at the end of the video. And for those who are impatient, just hop to the last 4 or 5 minutes of the video, you'll see the cut results. Really, these knives are the same in terms of overall shape and profile. You're really just choosing the differences between blade types and handle materials. So all of these knives have just been sharpened and polished and stropped on the same system. I used the Bob Kramer Zwilling whetstones for the 400, the 1000, and the 5000 whetstone. I wanted to see how sharp these knives were, so I put them on the Edge On Up PT50A after they were sharpened and polished on the 5000 grit stone. And after that, I stropped them on a leather strop that I've made with a 14,000 grit compound. Then I did another sharpness test to see what the edge is like after a stropping session. Now, coming off of the whetstone, they all had an edge sharpness of between 297 to 242. 242 being the sharpest because that shows you that the knife took the least amount of resistance to cut a filament on the Edge On Up PT50A. The very next set of numbers you see there, the numbers are dramatically lower than the first set of numbers because I stropped them on the strop with a 14,000 grit compound. You can see there is between a 49 to a 35 reduction in cutting resistance between the knives once we went on to the strop. However, after the first set of cut tests, all that changed. So 10 cuts on the rope took all of that benefit from the strop completely away, and it brought us back to earth. We are back to what you would consider normal sharpness for a good quality kitchen knife is. You can see here that the SG2 Damascus version has a pretty sizable edge over the other two knives. The edge retention on the SG2 steel is substantially better than the carbon and stainless steel version. By the second cut, you can see that the SG2 steel is starting to catch up with the other two knives, but it still is sharper, at least in terms of overall cutting resistance. Now, the interesting thing here is that the stainless steel version and the carbon version are literally neck and neck in terms of what their edge retention is like and the overall cutting ability of these knives. So that was very surprising to me. And the SG2 knife is a little bit lower in terms of its overall resistance. By the fourth cut, the carbon version is doing slightly better than the stainless steel version, and the SG2 version is besting both of them. By the last set of 10 cuts, something very interesting happens. The stainless steel version actually outperforms the carbon version, and the SG2 version still outperforms both of them. Now, in these sort of tests, I do the increments of 10 because a lot of folks ask for them, and they want to see kind of the progression of how edges retain and how edges are lost. But to me, the last number is the most indicative of how the overall test went. So you can see here, the SG2 knife overall has a really sizable lead in terms of overall edge retention over the carbon version and stainless steel version. Again, these tests here that I do are isolated. They're not meant to show how knives perform in real life. It's more for entertainment purposes, if anything, and I really want to make that apparent. My goal was to get all these knives to be measuring exactly the same off the whetstone and off the strop, but I wasn't able to do that. I did get very close on the stainless steel version and the carbon version. They were within a few percentage points of each other. The SG2 knife, again, it is about 40 points lower than the carbon version. So that could have something to do with the steel being easier to sharpen, or I just may have had it slipped up somewhere, and I just didn't get the same edge that I was able to get on the carbon and stainless steel version. So even though I wasn't able to get all the knives at equal sharpness, to me the most important thing is what is that knife's last number relative to its first number. So now the question is, which of these knives should you consider? Well, obviously first consider your budget. You can certainly buy a $30 or $40 knife that will do the exact same thing as these knives here. These knives here are designed by master knife maker Bob Kramer, and so they are very special in terms of how they're shaped and put together. Now, going into this review today, I really thought that the carbon version would really outperform both the SG2 and the stainless steel version. I definitely didn't think that the stainless steel version would hold a candle to either of the other two knives. In terms of edge retention, the FC61 is just as good as the carbon version, which is shocking to me. I didn't think that was possible, especially we all hear people talk about carbon knives being able to retain the best edge and get the sharpest edge. That's really not necessarily the case in this point. After using all of these knives for over 6 months, there are two features that I think really stands out with Kramer Knives. First is the height. The height of these knives are about 4 to 5 millimeters taller than average chef's knives, which to me is a huge bonus. The other thing is the handle comfort, and my personal favorite is the handle on the carbon version. The African Blackwood feels very nice and very warm to the touch. The shaping of the handle is definitely better than the Damascus version and the stainless steel version. For my hands, it really just felt the best. The fit and finish on these knives are also very good. The stainless steel version, the fit and finish definitely can be improved, particularly when considering that it's a $200 knife. They are definitely worth considering and looking at if you're looking to invest in a good set of knives. They are very unique in their shape and overall design. The choice of materials are also very good on these knives. I don't think that you will falter any one of them. So between the stainless steel and the carbon version, if you're looking just for performance, the stainless steel version does not falter at all. It has the same edge retention ability and same sharpness level as the carbon version. The handle on the stainless steel is not quite as comfortable as the handle on the carbon version, and the fit and finish on the carbon version is definitely much better than the stainless steel version. Now between the carbon version and the Damascus SG2, I would say that the SG2 has a far better edge holding ability. During sharpening, I found that the SG2 was actually more enjoyable to sharpen. It was definitely more crisp, more responsive on the whetstone. And the grain structure I find on the SG2 is maybe a little bit more finer than the grain structure on the carbon version. I personally really love SG2, so that's probably a bias on my part. The handle on the Damascus is not quite as comfortable as the handle on the carbon version. It's slightly wider by maybe a hair, maybe 0.2 millimeters or so. And also the fit and finish on the carbon version and the handle department and even the blade department is actually better than the SG2 version. So between those two, it's really up to you. If you're looking more for a carbon knife and a knife with better fit and finish, I would say the carbon version is your pick. If you want absolute sharpness and edge holding ability with a robust handle that will not warp over time, the SG2 Damascus version is that knife. In between the Damascus version and the stainless steel version, if you can afford a $400 knife, go for it. If you only have a budget of $200, go for the stainless steel version. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this testing method and format, and also which knife would you pick if you had a choice. I will leave a link in the video description to all the items that were featured in today's video. Thank you for being here today. We'll catch you in the next video.